All right, everybody, let's get started. There's not anybody on right now, but hopefully you guys all can get a chance to watch it on YouTube. So to start things off, we'll go to paparazziaccessories.com and go through that a little bit, check it out. Go to join the team. Down to search our additional income opportunities. And you go to the compensation plan, which is right there. And we'll zoom in on that a little bit. And you go in. We start off with the rank of consultant. The rank of consultant gets the full retail, gets the show rebate, all this. It really isn't a regular consultant anymore. If you're new as of August 23rd, everybody at least is a star consultant, as long as you've ordered your 50 PV. Anybody that orders 50 PV is considered a star consultant anyways. With your star consultant, you get your retail profits, your show rebate, and you get your building business bonus. And that is a percentage of the PV, is a PV bonus, a volume bonus of what you get for when people sign up. Say you're personally sponsored. Say you sign somebody up with a $2.99 kit, you get, let's say that's 15% of their PV. So, but you do have to be active that month. You have to order a minimum of 50 PV that month in order to get that bonus. The 15% of $2.99 kit is 120 pieces. So that's 240 PV, so you get 15% of the 240 PV. That's how much the bonus is. Your Unilevel 1, you also get paid on your first level. All you're personally sponsored, you'll get 5% of their PV. PV is one piece equals, one adult piece of paparazzi jewelry equals, has a point value of 2 PV attached to it. So one piece equals 2 PV. I'll go over this too real quick. Retail profit, that's your 45% commission right there. All this stuff is right there for you. The show rebate is really cool. Like when you purchase 1,000 PV or more on a single item, you get a show rebate of 10% as processed and put it into that month's commission check. The Unilevel bonus, that's kind of what that's where people get confused. The Unilevel, the Generation, the Legacy, the Infinity, and then the cash bonuses and stuff gets kind of confusing, but it's not really all that confusing until you start getting to the higher levels. We'll just kind of go over this kind of fast. I know it's a little fast and sometimes a little confusing, but anyways, star consultants get paid 5% of the GV. The GV is a group volume, which is the volume not including your volume, just your team's volume. You get paid 5% of your team's GV. So say your team has 100 GV, you get paid 5% of that 100. So 5% of 100 is $5. Paparazzi only sends commission checks out or direct deposits if your commission check is over 20. I think it's 20, either 20 or $25 in a month. So what happens is if you only get paid $5, then they just roll it into the next month and until you reach the level where they send out a check. To get up to a director, there you need to have 3 personally sponsored active consultants. They need to be on your front line. They need to be your personally sponsored in order to reach director, and you also have to order at least 50 PV. That's 25 pieces you have to order, and this is in a month. For unit level 1, then the commissions goes up. This is your front level. This is your first line. You're personally sponsored. You get paid 10% on that. But in order to get the director, you have to have 3 personally sponsored active. In order for them to be active, they have to order 50 PV in that month. And so your level 1s, you get paid 10% instead of 5. And then for their personally sponsored, you get paid 5% on that. To get up to the Premier Director, there again, you have to have 50 PV. That means 25 pieces that you have to order. Plus, your team has to have 3,000 GV or OV they have here, which GV and OV are the same thing. And it has to be at least 3 personally sponsored actives, so those 3 have to order at least 25 pieces. Here's where it gets a little confusing now. Of the 3,000, only a third, this is the third rule, the 1/3, the 33% rule is what it is. No more than a third of the volume can come from one leg. So say you have three ladies personally sponsored underneath you, 3 consultants personally sponsored underneath you, and one of their team gets 1,500 GV. Another personally sponsored team, they get, including your personally sponsored, they get 800 GV, and the other one gets 800, or the other one gets, yeah, see, that one gets 800. Well, your total GV for all 3 of those legs would be over 3,000, but you wouldn't hit Premier Director because your one leg that's at 1,500 would wind up being lopsided towards your Premier Director rank. So then you'd only be able to use 1,000 of that volume towards your rank. You still get paid on the whole volume, but you don't get to use anything over 1,000 towards Premier Director. So what you would need to do is only, say that this leg over here has 1,000 or 1,500, but you can only use 1,000. And then you get this leg here that is 800, and this leg here that is 800. You're still 400 GV short of hitting your rank. So then you need to have either get it from these 2 legs, or you can add more legs and spread it out more that way. And when you hit Premier Director, you get 10% from your level 1s, your personally sponsored, 5% from your level 2s, and 5% from your level 3s. Your level 3s are, 2 levels down. You're personally sponsored, then their team, or they're personally sponsored, and then they're personally sponsored. So you get paid down 3 levels. And that is your, once you hit Premier Director, you will get paid down 3 levels, 10%, 5%, and 5%. Once you get up to Executive Director, you have to order 100 PV yourself. That's 50 pieces instead of 25, what it was in the first 3 levels. You have to have that in a month. And then 6,000 GV. It's the same. It's the 1/3 rule. So no more than 2,000 volume can come from one leg. You need to have 3 personally sponsored active. You still get the retail, the show, and the building, the BBB bonus. And then you get, you still get your 10%, your 5%, your 5%, your level 1s and 3s. Then you run into a generational bonus. And the generational bonuses is 1%. You get an additional 1% of all the volume on your team. So you do your 10, your 5, and your 5, and then say you have 6,000 volume, you get an additional 1% on that whole 6,000 volume. And where the generation 1, generation 2, and generation 3 are a little confusing, because that's where your cutoff comes in. And say you have one leg, say you're an Executive Director, and you have one leg where your personally sponsored hits Executive Director. You will get paid down to your personally sponsored or until that Executive Director, but you won't get paid on anything underneath her. So once a person on that leg gets an executive director, you don't get paid anymore on that leg down. You'll still get paid on the rest of your team, but you won't get paid anymore from that leg. From the executive director on down on her team. Then you go to producer, and it's 100 PV, which is 50 pieces, 12,000 GV, which is still the third rule. You still can only use 4,000 from each leg, or no more than 4,000 from one leg. Sorry. Then you go into the 10, the 5, and the 5. Your generational 1 goes up to 3%. It triples from executive director. It's a nice jump. And still the same thing with generational 1. Once somebody hits executive director on your team, you don't get paid anything below that anybody else on that person's team. Then you go into premier producer, 100 PV, 25,000 GV, 3 personally sponsored active consultants. I think I went over how to be active. You need to have 50 PV. You know, each of your personally sponsored has to have 50 PV in order to be active. You get your 3% of your generational 1, and then it goes down to generational 2, and that's a little bit more confusing. Then once somebody hits executive director on your team, like over here on executive director and producer, they would get cut off. You wouldn't get paid any more after that executive director on that team. But premier producer, then you get down to generational 2. So then if you have, say this is all one leg for your team, and you got a person 3 levels down that hits executive director. Okay. On producer and executive director, you wouldn't get paid anymore on that team. But once you hit premier producer, then you still get paid an additional one. You still get paid the 1% after that executive director on premier producer until you hit another executive director on this team underneath this executive director. They have to be on the same leg. You know, this executive director here has to be an executive director underneath this one. And then after that, once you get down, then you get 1% from here to here, from this, this person to this person to this person. Then you hit this executive director and get nothing else after that. Then it's cut off there. And then you get to executive producer, 100 PV, 40,000 GV, 3 personally sponsored active consultants, the retail, the show, the building, the VVV bonus. The unit level bonuses are all the same. Generation 1 is the same. Generation 2 it triples, and it's the same thing as the generation 2. You know, you have executive director here. This is all on one leg, and an executive director here. You still get 3% on all of your GV, on your whole team's GV, and then then 3% between there and there. And then same thing with going to Fashionista. It's 100 PV you have to order minimum. 75,000 GV for your whole team. 3 personally sponsored active. The retail, the show, and the BBB are all the same. The unit level is all the same. And the only difference is with Generation 3 is you get paid for 3 executive directors on one team, on one leg. Once you get up to A-lister, that's 100 PV, 150,000 GV for your team, 3 personally sponsored active. All the bonuses are the same, all the way down to Legacy. Once you hit Legacy 1, it's an additional 1% of your whole team. So like say you hit A-lister, you get 150,000 GV of your, you have 150,000 GV from your whole team. You get an additional 1% added on to, plus, the 3% you get from your whole team. So the 3% of the 150,000 is a bonus you get paid, plus another 1% you get paid on the whole team. Legacy 1 is, you know, when you get that, that cuts off at A-lister. Once you get another A-lister on your team, then you won't get paid anymore underneath that A-lister on the Legacy 1. Maven A-lister. Same thing, 100 PV, 250,000 GV. All the bonuses are the same all the way down to Legacy 1. Then you get paid 2% on the whole team until you hit an A-lister, until you get an A-lister underneath you. And then between that A-lister and another A-lister, you still get an additional 1%. You know, you still get the 1% for them. Jet Setter. 100 PV, 500,000 GV. Everything's the same all the way down to Legacy, you know, the Legacy 2. You can actually have up to 3 A-listers on one leg, and you'd still get paid on those A-listers. The Lux Jet Setter, that's when things get a little bit different, and there's some changes on there. Let's go over here. And what that is, then it changes to a quarter rule. So you have to have 250 PV minimum order. So you have to order at least 125 pieces in that month. Your team has to have 1 million GV, and no more than 250,000 of that GV can be used towards the rank. Excuse me. And then all the bonuses for that are the same, all the way down to the infinity bonus, and then you get an additional 0.5% on top of that. And then Impressionista is basically the same as Lux Jet Setter, all the way down to the infinity bonus. And once you get the infinity bonus, that's 1% instead of 0.5%. And you go into that, like, that's 1.5 million volume. 1% of 1.5 million volume is, I don't know, what is that? 15,000? Yeah, $15,000. That's $15,000 bonus just for that. I'm sorry, my brain couldn't do the math on that. That's a huge bonus. That's just a bonus just for hitting that. Then if you hit Impressionista, or hit Lux Jet Setter 2 consecutive months, you get an additional cash bonus of $25,000. You hit Impressionista for 2 consecutive months, you get a bonus of $50,000. That's a nice chunk. That's a nice check right there. I hope that helps explain that to you. Let's see, what can we go into next? Oh, we were going to go into the little back office training. I hope the compensation plan, you know, that clears it a little bit up for you. I know it's confusing. I know it's not always the funnest thing to work on, but I hope that helps explain it a little bit. So we'll go back to paparazziaccessories.com. I'll go to consult and login. This isn't the only way to get in, but this is the easiest way for us. You know, your username is your consultant ID, and then you have your password. You log in. And then here it shows, you know, your name, your rep number, your rank, and all that stuff. You scroll down, shows all the stuff down here, recent girl stats, total downline, front line, new in the last 3 days, last 3 girl, you know, all that stuff. You can look in alerts, and we get you get alerts for every person that signs up on your team. I wish that was a little bit, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the alerts. I don't ever use it. or the messages. Events. Say Paparazzi put on an event, or say you want to do an event with your team. You can do conference calls, different things like that. You can set up events in here, and you can share it with your team. You could share it with anybody on your team. You could share it with active consultants, different things like that. Resources. This is full of a lot of resources. You have your checklists and worksheets. I hope that you all are using these, the new consultant checklist and the party checklist and the leadership worksheet. These are all right in your back office, right in the resources, your forms. You have your terms and conditions. This is where the policies and procedures are. I hope you all have that on file on your computer and use that regularly. Go through there. You know, there's all kinds of different questions that can easily be answered right there on the policies and procedures. The business success plan is in there. There's all kinds of different things in here. You know, go through here, play around, figure that out. Download what you want. There's a place you could add leads. We don't do that. I don't know why we don't do that. We don't add leads to there, but you can. This will show your orders, and it'll also show your customer orders. Order summaries. There were new orders, all orders, customer orders, my customer orders, fashion fix. I'll click on that real quick. Just goes in your auto ship. You can change your profile, stuff like that. Organization. Here's where you can find anybody on your team. This also shows your personal customer enrollments are all going to be over here. Your downline recruiting, your personal recruiting, that's all going to be there. Click on your personally sponsored. Some of these are on the pro, so some of you might not have all these. Not sure which ones you have, which ones you don't. Genealogy report, I use that a lot. I won't go on this too much in detail, so we don't have to post everybody's address and all that stuff on there. It's all going to be in here. See your commission summaries, go into volumes. You won't have bonus qualifications or something like or stuff like that. You can go by leg. So you want to view by leg. This will show you leg or by level, by consultants. All that stuff's on there. Here's where you create a party at. And you know, my best advice to you is just kind of go in there, play around. But yeah, if you want, you know, and if you need to order, if you don't know how to order, your orders are right in the orders tab, and you just click the new orders. And I don't know. I guess that's all I really got. You kind of play around in there, and that's how you do the new orders, and then it'll take you to the shopping page. I hope this was helpful to you guys. I know I kind of sound kind of boring on the computer. Hopefully, I'll get to watch it. Hopefully, everything worked. But I guess that's all I got. So, thanks for listening. Like I said, hopefully it'll be helpful to you all. Hopefully it's got some real good information on there for you. So, have a good one. Thanks a lot.